let's go through an example where we create a grammar for this language that I've got up here above. It's just messy. It's not a regular language, but we have, we have A to the N, B to the N, C to something different, C to the M, D, E, we got F to the Q, D, D, G to the Q plus 3, blah, 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 right? And the idea is that all of these exponents are in the natural numbers. So here you go. I've written this a little bit smaller so that I can edit it a little bit more easily. As I've said, what you really need to do is to think about which of these pieces are stuck together. Which of these pieces do you need to think of together? So for example, the first two symbols here, the A to the N and B to the N, these guys have to work with each other. It's in some level, right? They are sort of partnered because they both need the same exponent. So I'm just going to mark them like that. If you look at the next one, C to the M, that's kind of on its own. There's nothing else with an exponent that has the letter M, right? Here's an F to the Q and the G to the Q plus 3. So those ones sort of need to be together. What other exponents do we have here? We have, there's an R here and an R there, so this whole Fs to the R all the way up to that T to the R goes together. And in fact, inside of that, you can also see there's some X's in here, right? So we've got the T to the X, S, T to the X business going on, right? So what you need to do first, in my opinion, the first step with this is split your language so that you have all of the pieces that are related together and everything else separate. So let me show you what I mean. I'll kind of split down there. And we'll split down there because this A to the N, B to the N, that's stuck together. The C to the M, that is an exponent kind of on its own. Next, there's this DE, which is sort of on its own before this big long piece, so let's split that. There's the giant long F to the Q, all this good stuff. So I'll split after that. E is sort of on its own, so we'll let it be on its own. And this last one, we can't really deal with the inner one until we've dealt with the outer piece. So I'll just split after that outer piece is done, and then we have DE, which is a couple of terminals, right? Just a couple of symbols. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to label these pieces for my own use. I'm going to call that one a capital A, that capital B, that capital C, capital D, capital E, this whole thing is capital F, and this piece is capital G. So when I write my grammar, I'm going to just do each of these pieces. What I'll say is I'll say that we're going to start by going to A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? And now all I need to do is tell you how to find the grammar for each of these, and I've sort of concatenated them together here, right? And then we will have a grammar for this whole mess. So let's just get started. We want to start with A. Why not? We'll do them in order. So let's see, what does A go to? Well, we've got our standard A to the N, B to the N thing here, right? Not regular, that's for sure. But we can still write it as a grammar, just not a regular grammar. And so what I'm going to do is we're going to build it from the middle outward, as we always do, and we'll say that goes to A, little a, big A, and then a little b. So we can either keep adding every time we follow this rule, we'll add an A at the front and a B at the end, so it'll kind of grow and grow and grow. Or it can go to just a lambda, right? We're done A. Part B is C to the M, so that's pretty straightforward. So we're just going to say B goes to, well, as many C's as we want, right? So CB or a lambda. Part C is even better, right? C is just two symbols, two terminals. So C just goes to little d, little e. Notice, by the way, I've been a little bit sloppy here. That's a lowercase c and that's an uppercase c, just to make sure it's clear that's an uppercase c. I'm going to kind of give it some strong looking lines at the top and the bottom. You may think that looks more or less like a C now. Maybe I'll just try and make it nice and thick. How's that? Alright, so capital C is super thick and lowercase c not so much. Alright, what do we do for D? Well, D is an interesting one. We have to build up the outside here, so we have 3 more G's than we do F's, right? So I'm going to do that in 2 steps. I'm going to say, well, what D is going to do is D is going to go to something else. Let's call it H with 3 G's on the end. Because if I do that, then what I've done is I've changed this piece from F to the Q, D, D, G to the Q plus 3. I can just ignore that plus 3 now, right? Because I've already put the 3 G's on the end. And now I'll just have H be that little piece without the plus 3, right? So let's do H. I wonder if I'm going to have enough room on this page. H is going to go to, well, we got to build it up from the middle again. It's going to go to an F followed by an H followed by a G, right? Or, well, we don't have to end with lambda this time. In fact, what we can do is we can just say, well, what goes in the middle of this one? Well, in the middle of this one, we've got just 2 D's, right? So we can say it goes to FHG or DD. All right? That was H. So let's see, we've got A, B, C. We've done D. So we're up to E. Oh, and E's lovely. Look at E. E is a nice little short one, right? E's just letter E. That's fine. E goes to little e. All right. Next up, we've got this Mongo thing for F. Actually, should we just get G out of the way because it's really cute too? Let's just get G out of the way. G is just going to go to DE. All right. And now let's deal with that big F thing. So what do we got? We have Fs to the R followed by T to the R at the end. And we're calling this F. So I'm going to say, let's see. F is going to go to Fs followed by F followed by, what's at the end? It's a T, right? So we'll do as many of those as we want. Or, and what have we got up to? H is the last letter we used. I don't like using I because it looks a bit, it's hard to tell an I from a 1 or whatever, so let's just make it go to J. Okay. So J is going to represent all of that stuff in the middle. So what does J look like? We've got this T to the X stuff followed by an S. So really, if I were still splitting, I might split it there. So let's say that J, and I knew we were going to run out of space. We'll see. I'll squish this down in a minute. J is going to go to, let's just make J go to T followed by the letter, to K followed by the letter S, right? And so now that we've got our J piece, right, we can go to our K piece, and our K piece, maybe I'll just circle that. That's going to be our K, right? Might cram it in yet. So K is going to go to, well, again, we need a TKT to build it out from the center, or what goes in the middle of that? An S. Miracle of miracles, we actually fit everything in there. All right? Hope that helps.